Good evening, ghosts and ghouls. Welcome back. If you are looking for the most haunted on the internet, you found it. That's what the MH up there is for. Dan Terry, most haunted. It's good to see you all back. And tonight, there will be ghosts, but I am stepping out of my comfort zone just a little bit because I'm really not sure of everything we're going to be talking about. That's why we bring in the experts, right? Tonight's guest is Christi Clemons Hoffman. She is an intuitive, has been for many years, channels spirits. That's pretty cool. And she is and I am going to butcher this, I'm afraid, Reiki Master. And my good friend Lena is a Reiki Master. I've known several. I just don't understand it. I can't quite grasp it. So I'm hoping tonight you and me will get just a little more understanding of Reiki. She practices something called Quantum Healing Hypnosis. We're going to talk about that too, because it seems that not only has she talked to spirits, seen spirits, and helped people through these issues, but this quantum healing hypnosis has allowed her to deal with aliens. There again, out of my comfort zone once again. I do know a little about it, just a little, but this is going to be a little more interesting night than usual. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's talk to Christi Clemons Hoffman.
Hi, Dan.
There you are. How are you doing out there?
Hey, even better after that dynamic intro. I hope this all lives up to the hype.
I don't think we hyped up anything there. You're the one who's been doing this for 56 years, so come on.
I've a long time. Yeah.
In a nutshell, how do you explain Reiki? Because I got friends who do it. I don't understand it.
Well, it's Reiki, and it comes from Japan,
okay.
So it's a Japanese term, and we've all heard of chi, right? The chi is the energy that flows. Yes. Tai chi, anyway, chi, and then Rei means universal. So this chi is this universal life force energy, and that's what chi means as actually life force energy. So universal life force energy in Japanese we call chi ki. So that's where Reiki comes from. And so this universal life force energy is what runs through our bodies. It establishes well-being. It gives us our consciousness. And it goes through our chakra system and the aura. So when that chakra system becomes blocked or imbalanced, we have some kinks in our chi. And I know that sounds really woo-woo. So what Reiki does is it smooths out those blocks, it clears the imbalances, and then it lets our energy flow naturally through the body. It's very healing, it's very relaxing, and it really feels wonderful. So I would encourage everybody to have some Reiki done.
So this force that's going through us, is this something we are born with? Does our bodies create that? Or is this something from a creator?
Yes. All of the
That's
above.
what I need, a positive baby. Yeah.
So it is something that we are naturally inherently born with. I mean, everything is made of energy. Even static things like boulders and trees. Well, trees are living, but even standard things like boulders that are, we think of as static. Everything is made of energy. Things that are more physical have a slower moving, denser energy. And the things that we can't see, like ghosts and spirits, those are a lighter and higher vibration energy. So,
is that a frequency then? Is that a frequency?
Yeah,
so I think energy at a certain frequency.
Yes.
And again, I don't mean to put you on the spot. I'm trying to understand this in terms that an ex-cop like me could route. So we got this force, this energy that we create that you can straighten out when it gets a little off kilter.
When it gets off. Now, we don't actually create it when we're born. I mean, we inherently have this. This is from, from birth. Everything has this energy. Now we're creating our blocks, we're creating our wellness, we're creating this as we go. And it's on the quantum level. And it's through our thoughts, our beliefs, the energy that we put out, and the energy that we even turn inward, that we're creating those blocks.
So as a master at this, you help, maybe cure is not the right word, but you help people get healthier, get feeling better with it.
Absolutely. The body knows how to heal itself. It truly does. We just have to get out of the way. And we have to allow our energy flow to go through the body unimpeded, just like a garden hose. When a garden hose is straight, then the water goes through it with no problems. But if we spring a leak in it, then we're going to have all the energy flowing outward. If we kink it, then it's not going to get through. So what we need to do is maintain a positive energy and positive frequency within the body, and that allows the body to be in its natural state of health and wellness.
So to use that example of a hose with a kink to it, our energy is constantly flowing out of us. Is this a constant thing?
Yes, it's constantly flowing within us, constantly.
Within or without? Does it go out?
Both.
Does it?
So within the chakra system is basically, collective spots of energy, and they all have different meanings, different thought and emotional processes, different physical processes. And then we also have an energy field around us that we commonly call the aura. So there is that too. So it's within us, without us. We're basically swimming in this energy soup all the time. So that if I were sitting across the table from you, about, just across the table, our energy fields would be intermingling. So our energy spills outside of us. That's for that reason we can walk into a room and we can just kind of feel what the energy of the room is. If somebody's standing behind you and you don't see them, you can still feel them there, because what you're doing is you're interacting with your energy field.
And how can you train yourself to determine, is it the person behind me, or is it someone in front of me, or is it the psychic vampire over here in the corner?
Well, I think inherently we all kind of intuitively know these things. You can feel whether an energy is good and positive for you, or an energy is negative and harmful for you. And for that reason, you might see somebody and you think, I just don't trust that person. I don't like them for whatever reason. I don't feel good about that person. And if that's ever the case, we should really trust our instinct and trust our intuition on this. And not necessarily that we have to run away from this person, but, maybe keep at arm's length. Don't get overly involved in this person if you're just not comfortable with that.
Okay. While we're on the topic of explaining things, what about quantum healing hypnosis?
Yes, quantum healing hypnosis technique. This is the technique that was developed by Dolores Cannon. We were talking about her chit-chatting before we started recording the show. And Dolores Cannon developed this technique over many decades. So she was working with her husband, Johnny, on hypnosis. They were working on people on military bases because they were a military family. And they were doing smoking cessation and anxiety and weight loss, all the clinical stuff. I do clinical hypnosis as well. And they wanted to get deeper, more lasting, faster results. So they started taking their clients deeper to deeper levels. And then spontaneously, one of their clients went to another lifetime. And they just kind of were like, what just happened? They regressed this client over many times and found out she had many past lives. We all have many past lives, but this client did. And they started taking a deeper dive into past lives. And then tragedy struck. Johnny was in a horrible accident. He became a quadriplegic, and he really put it was terrible. But he put the hypnosis on the back burner. And then once he passed, Dolores picked it up again and started doing more and more work with this past life regression and trying to understand it. And then someone asked her, I've got a person here who's maybe had an alien abduction experience. Do you think you could help them recall that? And she said, well, let's try. and found out she had tremendous success with that. And so she did that work added it on for a long time, and then found that she could reach directly what she called the subconscious. It's not truly subconscious in like psychological terms, but that's what she called it, which is basically our own life force energy, which is basically our soul, our higher consciousness that's connected to everything. So she found she could connect with that and achieve healing for people.
Okay.
So over time, she wasn't sure what to call this thing as it was morphing and developing. Finally, they settled on Quantum Healing Hypnosis Technique, but it is so much more than that. I mean, it's other lifetimes. It's, any type of alien encounters, like memory that we want to recover, and healing and talking directly to your higher self. It's phenomenal.
Okay. So, and you happen to have hit a topic which we did not discuss beforehand. And I have a great deal of interest in ever since I read Soul Survivor, about the child who was remembering being a World War II pilot, even as a 4-year-old. Mm-hmm. So do people come to you specifically to ask for you to go back through their past lives? Have you sat and done that with anybody?
Can you rephrase the question? I'm not sure I understand.
Do you have, okay, so if someone came to you and said, I believe my eating disorder is from a past life issue, can you take them back and figure it out that way?
So what we do, when people have problems, they come in with, and I kind of jokingly say, nobody comes to me because their life is going great. There's something that's sticking point. They want healing, what they want to understand. And so they come in and they understand that part of the session, we're going to be exploring other lifetimes that have a direct relationship to what's going on now. And then part of that, we're going to ask for healing, and we're going to go right to the source and ask any question that they want to resolve. So I leave it completely up to the subconscious, or the SC, as we call it. The SC knows exactly what this soul needs to know, and will find the most appropriate lifetime to show them. And then anything that maybe we haven't quite answered with that other lifetime, then we'll ask directly of the subconscious.
So rather than you taking them back, they take themselves back under your guidance. or guardianship.
So
amazing.
I just ask them to find. I ask them to find the most appropriate time and place. The most appropriate time and place for what we need to know today. And then the SC takes care of the rest.
So can you give me a real short example of that? Somebody who has went back to a different time and figured out something.
Yeah. So this woman came in with debilitating migraines. She had migraines nearly every day. She couldn't work. She could barely function. It was so bad. She came in to find some healing and some relief from that. So she went to a lifetime, her appropriate time and place. She was on a street corner in the middle of a big city. And I asked her to look down and tell me what she was wearing. She says, well, I've got knickers on, I've got a wool jacket, I got a cap, but I have a big bag full of newspapers. I'm a newspaper boy.
Okay.
Right? So then I asked her what's around. She goes, oh, well, there's a broken bicycle. I said, okay, well, that's interesting. Anything else? Are you with anybody? No. Okay. So we kind of set the scene. So in QHHT, I then would guide her to go to where she lives. So in that lifetime, it was an apartment, a walk-up apartment, like a tenement. There was a baby sister and a mom and a dad. I said, well, why are the mom and dad there? Well, they don't have work. Can they get work? No, they can't get work. Nobody's got work. I'm like, oh, okay.
So and then I asked her, basically got a time.
I got a time frame. Depression. Yeah. And I asked her to look at the newspapers in the bag. What's in the news today? Oh, all bad news. Everyone's depressed. There's no jobs. There's no work. So then we want to find out what they do for a living. So, of course, paper boy. And then we go to several important days. The first important day, I asked her to go, I just said, find an important day. And so she talked about being in church and everybody's in black. Everybody's sad. I said, well, who are you with? Well, my mom and dad are there, and other people are there, but they don't they're not saying anything to me. I said, really? She says, yeah, I can't get anybody's attention. Okay. And so we poked around there, asked her to go to another important day. And she went to a sandlot baseball game with the neighborhood kids. And I said, well, what are you doing there? Well, I'd like to play, but nobody's like letting me play. I can't get anybody's attention. They're not talking to me. Well, that's interesting. So then I said, well, okay, let's go to another important day back at the bicycle. And I said, well, what's going on with the bicycle? Oh, it's all broken. It just smashed. It's terrible. And then I thought, where are you? Oh, I'm next to it. I said, do you see your body? She says, yeah, it's laying on the ground next to the bicycle. And I said, well, where are you watching this from? Oh, I'm next to it, looking down at my body. And I thought, oh, I see what happened. So afterward, I brought her out and she said, oh my gosh, I saw the whole accident. She says, I got hit by a car. And I said, where did it hit you? And she pointed to her head. And I said, well, that's interesting. Where do your migraines start? And she pointed to the same place on her head. And after that day, Dan, she didn't have another migraine because she realized that was belonging to another time. You see, when we die traumatically with, heavy emotion, then that's something we could carry forward. So I also found out during the session that she was tremendously afraid for the family. I'm the only person bringing in any money. How is this family going to be surviving? Are they going to be okay? And then during the session, I reassured her, everybody's okay. Everybody's fine. You don't have to worry about them anymore. And then, like I said, after that, if she ever felt one starting to come on, she would talk to that little boy that she had been and say, you're safe. Everybody's safe. Everybody's okay. You don't have to worry about them. And then it would go away.
All right. Help me out now, because now I'm just a little on the confused side.
Okay.
The little boy, was he a spirit or was he part of her?
He is part of her.
Okay.
Now, in that lifetime where he went to the church, she said afterward that it was the funeral. It was his funeral.
Yes.
And and she was there as a spirit and nobody could see her or talk to her. And then she went to the other important day in the sandlot. And again, she went as a spirit. Nobody could see her or talk to her. That's kind of when I started to figure out, I think you're dead.
Yeah. So, but when she talks to that boy, when she reassures him that he's fine, everyone's fine, is she talking to a spirit that resides within her, or is she actually talking to a part of her own psyche?
A part of her own psyche. So imagine if you do stage plays. Every play, you're a different character. And so it would be like talking to yourself as this character. Right? That's part of you. It's a part of it's a part of her that she's talking to, just like it would be a character that she had portrayed. Okay.
Wow. Now, I think we could probably talk for hours just on this topic, because
I've got a lot of stories.
Well, we will set another day and do this again, because I love the idea of coming back, reincarnation, multiple lives. That just interests me, because the first time I reported to my first ocean-going ship, I got so frightened. And I could see the water. It was like the sky was actually the water above me.
Yeah.
And I don't doubt that somewhere along the line I was on a ship that sank, but that's just my own guess. I'd like to talk to someone else on that sometime.
I know I have been. And for that reason, I can't even look at a photograph of anything underwater, video footage underwater. No, can't do it.
Yeah. I did not throw that together until National Geographic put out the video for the Titanic being found. And I could not look at that picture without getting sick to my stomach. And I'm sure I was not on the Titanic, but a warship, a commercial ship, somewhere along the line, I just have that image of going down underwater.
Yeah.
Made my Coast Guard time interesting, let me tell you.
I'll bet it did.
So also you discussed aliens. Is there a conduit to them within this hypnosis?
Oh, absolutely. So many different possibilities and scenarios. So most of us had lives off of this planet, right?
Now that's intriguing.
Isn't it intriguing? I mean, it's all part of creation, right? So nothing's really off limits. Nothing's out of bounds. So many of us have had lives off planet in other places.
Okay.
All right, so there's that. But then many of us have also had encounters that we can't explain. I had one client that this reptilian alien was just appeared in her kitchen one day, and it looked just as surprised as she did. And so I took her back to that time and asked what happened. And it was it was a glitch in the matrix. And all of a sudden it was there and looked around and was like, I'm not supposed to be here. What's the heck? And then promptly left. I've had.
So is that her from a different life?
No, it's this life, current life.
Well, I mean, was she seeing her former self as an alien, or was she seeing an alien?
She was seeing an alien.
Okay.
So you see, so not only can we have other lifetimes as aliens, but we can go back and examine some encounters we've had. So I've taken people back to when they were actually taken out of their bedrooms through the wall and taken up on a tractor beam to the ship. And I know that sounds crazy, but all of this stuff, everything that we can imagine and things that we can't even imagine actually do happen. So I've been guided and shown around on ships.
Wow.
Taken to the places where like there's different councils. So I've been doing some research sessions as well, trying to find out all of the different aliens that are members of the Galactic Federation. And I found a way to go to the Hall of Records in the Galactic Federation. And there was someone there who was very, very helpful and had this kind of a holographic device that would show us these different types of beings who are members of the Galactic Federation.
That's incredible. I mean, I'll have to let you do that with somebody who's more UFO related, because that just stuns me completely.
It's amazing.
So now, just to follow up on that before we move on to the ghost part, and I don't know how to say, is there negative aliens we deal with? Because some people deal with negative times with them. Some say it's positive. Have you encountered or noticed when you was there any kind of negative aliens that may want to do us harm?
There are, but there are just as many forces that prevent that from happening. And yeah, I mean, it's with anything, it's positive and negative. I don't really believe in evil. There's positive and negative, right? So there are those who have greed, who have conquest in their, in their intentions. And those are ones we want to avoid. But we have just as many, and I want to stress this again, we have just as many who are protecting us and protecting the earth, right? So it's not all of that. I did have a client who went to a lifetime where he was on this planet, or it could have been Earth in an earlier time. It doesn't matter where he was, but it was in the situation where his daughter had been taken and she was being held in this tower, and these reptilian aliens were holding her there. And he went to go rescue her, even though he knew it was a suicide mission and he knew he probably wouldn't fail. He just felt like he had to do something, and broke into this place and saw them actually eating children. And it traumatized him for a while. It took a lot of suggestions during the session to get him to disengage from that memory.
Wow.
So there is that, but it is our intentions that help protect us. And then we do have this protection around us too.
And what would someone like that, the aliens, the ones that are protecting us, what are they doing? If you have any idea, and you probably don't, I apologize if I'm putting you on the spot. When they see us killing each other in Kiev or wherever, launching attacks on each other for really no reason. What
Yeah.
does that?
So, yeah, the thing is that this planet that we're on, Earth, is a free will planet.
Mm-hmm.
That means that we are free to bomb the crap out of each other. We're free to make our own choices. They really hope that we'll make more positive choices, and they work with us for that as well. But, in terms of protection, it's basically holding space. It's like holding us like a container. It's like holding us in this free will environment. It's like everybody just like back off. They're trying to figure things out, right? So just like a loving parent would, obviously if your child is in danger, going to run into the street, you don't want to let them do that. But there are some things you let them figure out. Like if something is a little hot and you tell them, no, don't touch it. Then if you know it's not going to burn them or cause serious harm, you might let them touch it just so that it's like, I see, that's what hot is. Right. So they're going to let us have free will because, we are beloved beings. We are beloved creatures. And that free will helps us learn and helps us evolve and helps us grow. So they're not going to take that from us. But I've seen in other sessions that the Earth is surrounded by this grid of protective energy.
Okay.
And that we are being protected. So like you're talking about bombing in Kyiv, I mean, bombing and shooting innocent people. Yeah, that is a tragedy that needs to stop. Good humans, good people need to step up and say, hey, that's not okay. But overall, the planet is gridded by light that's very protective.
There's stories that we've read, and I'm sure you have too, of nuclear missiles, both ours and others, that some alien force has shut down, has come over them and whatever. If it's true, I don't know. I was not there. But so they're protecting us from something
from ourselves. Right.
Yeah, from total destruction, but they're not going to protect us as individuals from something like this.
Right.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I'm sure after this, there's going to be people wanting to talk to you on the shows on the UNX network about this, because we have a lot of UFO people.
Yeah, I'd love to.
That's amazing. To me, that is really intriguing. But let's move on to my field, where I feel a little more comfortable.
Paranormal.
Exactly. What have you done with that? Is this also through the quantum hypnosis, or is this through Reiki?
Yeah. So, well, yes, all of it. It all just goes together.
Okay.
It's woven together, right? So with the quantum healing hypnosis technique, I see that really the origin of ghosts. I've seen more than one person have a lifetime where they, and after I take them through the death scene, I always like to poke around a little bit. It's like, let's go look at that. What's happening with your body? What's happening with your people? What's going on? So I've had people hang out on battlefields after they died. And, some people can see me, some people can't. I've had people go back and visit their family. I had one person, she had been an artist in Italy and had died in a studio fire trying to save her two artist friends. And then she was a man then. He was hanging around his family afterward because he knew they were devastated. And finally, the client said, I need to back off. My mom knows I'm around. My mom can feel me and talks to me all the time. She's not moving on. She's not able to process. I just need to go. So I've seen many different scenarios of people hanging around. So ghosts, basically, right? The sentient ones, not the what do you call it? We're the the energetic replays.
Right.
So seeing that, and then I can go in, I also go into houses and clear spaces. So if somebody's having trouble at home, that it feels stagnant, it feels stuck, they feel like something's going on, I can even remote view and go in and find out where the trouble spots are. Send Reiki. Reiki can clear a home as well as it can clear a body.
How can it do that? Because just using the energy of my bookshelf and skeleton back here, or?
Yeah, not too fun. I mean, I think it's really, really cool, but I would work on clearing it on a regular basis. You know what I mean? So I call it energetic hygiene. Yeah. I call it energetic hygiene. So like if I've had kind of a difficult client, somebody who's released a bunch of stuff, had a bunch of trauma, I'll go in and cleanse the heck out of my office and
Really?
just raise the energy. So yeah, Reiki is positive universal energy. So when you flow in the positive energy, the negative energy just can't stay there. You just want to lift the vibration. You were talking about frequency earlier. You want to lift the frequency so much that negative frequencies cannot exist there. So I don't banish anything. I just raise the vibration so much that negativity can't stay.
A few years ago, I was really surprised to discover that burning sage actually helps clear a place. Not consistently, but it helped in the cases I actually tried it in. And is that related to this frequency and such as that?
It is actually. So sage is very good for helping calm the energies. It does have a tendency to just make things sleepy and go dormant rather than clearing it out. But still, that's helpful, right?
Well, I've discovered that over time they get tired of that and move on. Some spirits.
That's a good point. That's a real good point. Yeah. I also like Palo Santo for that. That does help to clear rather than just make things sleepy. Now, so
I don't know what that is.
It is a wood. It's a wood substance. And
what was it called?
Palo Santo. Palo is 2 words. PALOSANTO. 2 words.
Okay. I've never heard of that.
And you light it like incense, and you do it just like sage. You make sure the smoke gets into all the corners. And it smells really nice. I think it's a type of cedar. Don't quote me on that though, but it smells a lot like cedar. And then, so when I clear a space, I use a layered approach. So I'll use scent. So either Palo Santo, but I've also got rose scent spray, and then a frankincense and myrrh scent. The one I used is made by the Zum Company based in Kansas City. And so I use both of those. So frankincense and myrrh are holy fragrances. They're holy substances, and those raise vibration. And then rose brings in Mother Mary and other and angelic presences. Mother Mary is not an angel, but brings in angelic presence. So those work very well to raise vibrations. And then I also use sound. So either a singing bowl or a chime. And then also Reiki. So I'll go in and I'll apply Reiki in every room, and then prayer. So multi-levels.
The rose, that reminds me that when sometimes when a demonic spirit is pushed out, there's a smell of roses that comes back afterwards. And so that is that the angelic beings coming in?
Oh, have you heard of Padre Pio? Isn't that great? Isn't that great? Yeah, Padre Pio. Okay, so Padre Pio, they said that he always had this smell of flowers and roses.
You mean emanating from him?
Yeah, emanating from him and from his stigmata.
But he suffered so much in life. And yet, and I guess that was a purpose for that. I don't know it, but it seems...
he also used his powers for... He used his powers for good, right? So he used these abilities for good and for the benefit of all.
Okay. Wow. That gets so incredible. There's so much ways we can walk around on that and discuss it further.
No kidding.
Tell me more of your dealing with spirits and such.
Well, I am a lifelong intuitive. It was too early for me to remember it, but when I was a baby, my mom worked nights as an x-ray tech, and my dad was a college student, and he had a job as a night watchman at a huge old high school. Are you in Kansas City?
No, I'm actually in North Carolina, but I just moved from the St. Louis area.
Oh, okay. Well, in Kansas City, we have this big, huge high school, Southwest, I think, or Southeast, and big WPA, I don't know, 5-story school. And he was the night watchman there. And so both parents worked nights. He would take me along and bring my playpen and some toys, and then bring his books and study. And so he said that one night we were in the basement hanging out, And I was standing up in my playpen. So I must have been maybe a year old and babbling and talking and things like that. And then I was waving and I said, "Hi, Mr. Man." And he said he quit the next day. So that was the first ghost that I had interacted with. And then when I was about 8 or 9, my family was moving into a new house, and my mom and dad were busy fixing up, painting, scraping, whatever, this new house, getting ready to move in. And so my brother and I stayed with my cousins, and they lived in an older house, like maybe circa 1900, in the Westport area of Kansas City, this older neighborhood. Now, family legend has it that when they bought the house, when my aunt and uncle bought the house, that the people who had lived there before died suddenly and everything was left in the house. So jackets on the doorknobs, plates and things in the cupboards, and everything was just left as is. So, family legend has it that they had to go in and take everything out and do some repairs and things like that, get it ready. And that when they would go over there to work on the house, that tools would be moved around, that they'd go in, they'd unlock the door, but they couldn't open the door because it was like somebody was holding it from the inside, that there was a clock that had been left behind, a nice mantle clock, and it didn't work, and that they wanted to take it and get it repaired. So they took it in the yard, and all of a sudden it started working. Great, the clock works. So they take it back inside, and the clock stopped working. Now, these are good Christian people, right? And they didn't believe any of this stuff. And they just kind of laughed. They said, it must be a ghost. And then just kind of laughed because there's no such thing as ghosts.
Right.
There's more to that story that I maybe for another time. But we were spending the night there over maybe a week, my brother and I was sleeping on the floor in my cousin's room. And I saw the ghost come. I could see downstairs down to the front door, into the little foyer. And I saw the ghost come through to the foyer, up the stairs, down the hall, and go through the closed door, my aunt and uncle's room, and scared the wax out of me. I couldn't sleep all night. Next morning, I told my Aunt Carol, I said, "I think I saw your ghost." She said, "Oh yeah, you saw it, huh? Okay, you want eggs or bacon?" Like, they really didn't. They knew stuff was going on, but they didn't want to acknowledge what they thought it was.
Yeah.
Right? So this has always been an interest of mine. We used to get those scholar. What is that? Oh, what was it called? The Weekly Reader newsletters that you could order books. Scholastic. Right. And so I'd order all of the ghost and the UFO stuff, and all the other girls in my class were getting the teen heartthrobs and the princess stuff. But I was always interested in that, in the paranormal, in the weird. And I was the weird kid that nobody wanted to talk to because I believed in ghosts and I believed in aliens, and I just thought all this stuff was real. So really kind of an outcast, and not knowing that you can do anything with this.
You're actually fortunate. My friend Tim Clifton, who is a sensitive that ghost hunts with me, his parents got tired of him saying there's somebody here, there's somebody there. And they were so dead set again that they ended up putting him as a child into a mental institute.
Oh.
And his sister, who was also sensitive, said, "No, I never told him because I saw what they did to you." But, yeah. And
okay, Dan. Here's the deal. We're all born intuitive. We're all born being able to sense these things and be aware of them. We're all born to a person. We're all born with these abilities. Now, we can either choose to embrace them and use them and even learn how to improve them and rely on them, or we can shut them down. So if we're told that it's wrong, that we're crazy, that it's the devil's work, that you're just making it up, well, then we, like his sister, we can learn to shut up about it, and we can turn it off. But I never recommend that, because that energy has to go somewhere. And it can usually end up in depression, anxiety, insomnia, that kind of thing. So I would Like when we have kids, and I do work with parents and their children who are seeing things and the parents freaking out about it. And they come to me and I help a lot of parents in this way. In fact, I've written an article about this that I think is very helpful on help. My kid is psychic. What do I do? Right. So we have to support them. Now, do we go out and buy? Well, I would never recommend buying a Ouija board, but do we go out and tell everybody, oh, my kid is like, I know, I love your shirt. That is so cool. People listening on audio can't see it. It's the best.
I like Ouija boards. I don't use them. I have actually never used one. I prefer dowsing rods, but they're not anything to be afraid of if your intent is proper.
Right. And there's I would use them very, very safely. But, supporting that kid doesn't mean putting a spotlight on them and just letting everybody know, oh, this is what my kid can do. Tell Aunt Susie what you saw in the corner the other day. No, it's just like supporting them, validating what they're telling you, believing what they tell you, and then letting the kid decide. Are you going to develop that and use it, or are you not? Would you like some help? I can help you find a good teacher or some good books or something like that can help you develop and use that. But above all, we've got to support them and believe them and validate them. It's like, this is natural and normal what you're experiencing. You get to decide if you're going to share it with anybody else. Might help them navigate. Do you want to say that in front of the class? Would that go over well? Would you be supported? Or do you want to just make sure that you know who's going to support you in this before you talk about it, right? Just to help them navigate that type of thing. But it's normal and natural.
I may be the other guy. I don't think I've had any powers like that or any abilities at all. I feel like I'm a fence post sometimes. But I've got a lot of friends who have that ability. And when I got into ghost hunting, I didn't really believe in it, but I have seen so much amazing stuff that I know it's real. It's
real. Absolutely. Yeah. I love going on ghost hunts because I can feel what's going on. I can and sometimes if the spirits want to talk to me, they'll talk to me. No, it's a lot of fun. I don't go on them a lot, but I do enjoy them when I do.
Oh, yeah. I used to do it a lot. I have not done it since moving to North Carolina about a year ago, but it takes time. I'll get here.
I'll bet there's a lot of history around there. Now, I should say that, being on a ghost investigation also scares me a bit. So I'm kind of one of these, like, I want to experience something, but I'm scared. Which is silly because I know exactly what they are. I know exactly what is going on, but still I kind of get the heebies a little bit.
And let me throw in another rock here to trip over. I almost exclusively deal with human spirits. I've been very, very fortunate in that way. There's one house with what I believe was demonic, and I called in specialists and let them take care of it because they had more experience. But I've never personally dealt with it. Do you see a difference? Have you walked into a place and there was something there that was not human?
I can honestly say no, but mostly because I really don't believe in the demonic.
Interesting.
I believe in the positive and negative. Right? So are there things that do not have our best interests at heart? 100%. There are some things that are really negative, and they tend to not move on after they pass. Sometimes they just don't feel like they can, or that they'd be allowed to, that they wouldn't be welcome in the light. And sometimes they're just so attached to a human existence that they just want to stick around. They just want to feel relevant. Right?
Are those human spirits?
I believe so.
Okay.
I don't believe in anything demonic. And I think that in certain cases that negative energy can take on a life of its own. So if there are places that have seen a lot of fear, a lot of terror, a lot of heartbreak, then that energy can stay there and kind of form its own entity, if that makes sense.
I understand it. I understand the words. I'm not sure I can grasp the concept of it, but it's a different way of looking at it. And I will have to look into it deeper and keep an open mind on that one.
Yeah.
So in the last few minutes, we got, 5, 6, 7 minutes here. What was the ghost or alien thing that really threw you off balance? Something that was just an amazing story.
Ooh, okay. So there was the past life regression, the QHHT session I did with the little boy. That was pretty amazing. So an alien experience that I thought was really pretty cool or interesting. So I had a client who went to a past life as an Egyptian princess. Now, this is a man in this current lifetime. So to describe himself in terms of, I am a princess and my father is the pharaoh. And we live in this lavish place, this palace, and I have servants and I'm wearing a beautiful dress, and then the father in that lifetime had a lot of power, and there was an alien race who wanted to have this pyramid built. Remember, there are lots of pyramids in Egypt, not just the three main ones. And so they wanted to have, these aliens wanted to have this pyramid built, and they wanted the father to subjugate his people to be slaves to build this pyramid.
So
and
this is not a good alien race wanting to benefit us.
It was not. And so the daughter saw what was happening. She didn't want the people to be enslaved. She had a very good heart toward the people and thought that they could be helpers to the people rather than tyrants. And so poisoned her father, killed him, and then became the new leader and told the aliens in no certain terms that, no, these people will not be subjected to be slaves to build this thing for you. And so they invaded. So there was an alien invasion, and these were falcon-headed humanoids.
I've seen designs of humanoids with bird heads on them.
So there are the bird-headed aliens. There are the lizard-headed and reptilian aliens. There are feline-headed, canine-headed, frog-headed, many different types of alien beings. So these were bird-headed, and there's like Horus and Tot in the Egyptian traditions. These are bird-headed beings that are deities, but what if they were actually aliens, right? And so these bird-headed beings came down and just decimated. Now this, there's a recording of that QHHT session that's on my YouTube channel. And you can go.
How can people find that?
It's at
How can
YouTube.
people find your channel?
Yeah, it's youtube.com/Radiate Wellness. Radiate Wellness is the company that I founded in 2016. We're a wellness collaborative. There's 4 practitioners within it. And our YouTube channel is just Radiate Wellness. And there's a whole playlist of QHHT stories. Okay.
And is that where we was talking earlier about your podcast is right there?
Yeah. So I've got 2 podcasts. I've got the Radiate Wellness podcast, and that is like all kinds of different people, including Jim Harold. Do you know Jim Harold, the podcaster?
Oh, yeah, the Campfire.
The Campfire. Yes. He's been on my podcast twice by himself, and then he was on once with his daughter Cassandra to talk about their new podcast called Unpleasant Dreams. In fact, Cassandra Harold. Oh, it's a good one. It's scripted, but it's all true crime, true weird stories, right? And so Cassandra even did the voiceovers, like the intro and the outro for the Radiate Wellness podcast. And then I've got a new podcast called Real Life Angel Encounters. And she did the intro and outro for that as well. And that's a brand new podcast. And it's not in video form at all. So it's not up on YouTube, but it's on all the places.
Okay. Name off the places so folks can find the Angel podcast.
So both podcasts are on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music. What am I leaving out? Yeah, those are the main ones. I'm sure they're on others as well. The real life angel encounters is also on Pandora, which Radiate Wellness is not. So basically, everywhere you
Okay.
listen to podcasts, you can find the Radiate Wellness podcast and real life angel encounters.
That, Christi, you have been a treasure trove of stuff here. Aliens,
Oh,
angels, ghosts. You've been a fantastic guest. I was
I
nervous
do it.
coming in,
Oh, bless
and
your heart,
because,
Dan.
well, I didn't know anything about Reiki
Reiki.
or anything like that, but it has been an absolute roller coaster ride on my side.
Well, you're a great host, Dan. I've really
Well, thank you.
enjoyed this interview.
Well, we're going to bring you back if you can, because we want to talk more about some of these stories, especially the ghosts and some of that past life regression.
It's fascinating. I'd love it.
It is. It's an amazing thing. So, Christi Clemons Hoffman of Radiate Wellness, you've got podcasts basically all over the place, but what was the name of the angel one?
Real life angel encounters. This is real
All right.
people and real angel encounters.
All right. I bet it's going to get a boost now because you are just an amazing guest.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Dan. It's been a pleasure.
It has been a pleasure for me too. You're just been incredible. Thank you.
Oh, that's
have
so
a good
sweet.
one.
You too.
All right, folks. In the last 2 or 3 minutes, I do want to ask you to keep in mind of the terrible things going on in Ukraine. Civilians, women and children hiding in subways, where it's like we're back to World War II, very, very much, with more devastating weapons. So keep them folks in your prayers. And I also want you all to remember, keep this in mind, that on March 13th and 14th, we're going to have a virtual conference. It's going to be called XCon, Into the Rabbit Hole. And let me tell you guys, the guests at this is one you would pay $70, $80 to go to with this kind of guest. Imagine having Lee Spiegel of UFO fame. I mean, the guy is incredible. If you haven't heard his show, you need to listen to it. UNXnetwork.com. Check it out. Our own Margie K will be speaking. Check this. All right, this is cool. Whitley Strieber. He used to be a guest host for Art Bell, the great Art Bell. And he would guest host and be a guest quite often. He wrote Communion, which really, you got to admit, it really kicked off the UFO stuff back in the 80s and such, into the 90s. He had his own movie about it. So Whitley Strieber is going to be talking. And Jimmy Church, who was a guest host on Coast to Coast AM, also, I mean, like I said, when I first started this, I am actually in the room of giants. It's incredible, the kinds of people that are on the UNX network. And that's just a few of them. I'm going to have a lecture on Friday the 13th, just about ghost hunting, and I will be showing you some evidence that will just shock you. We've done some amazing stuff over the years, and I want you guys to get there and see it. It's going to be incredible. It's $29 a day, and you can get to it by going to the unxnetwork.com and clicking on conferences. It's, again, called the XCon Into the Rabbit Hole, May 13th and 14th, 2022. Yeah, there you go. And I'm telling you guys, you're going to love this, because not only is it got the very guests that you would love to go to Arkansas and see, or go to Las Vegas or Roswell, New Mexico, which I've been to conferences in all those places. But you can do this one for a tenth of the price, because you're doing it from your desk right over the internet. You don't have to worry about getting COVID, getting sick, getting a hotel room. Try getting a hotel room in Eureka Springs, Arkansas during the UFO festival, or even in Roswell. Wow. So XCon, Into the Rabbit Hole. May 13th, I'll be speaking. And May 14th, again, I am brushing shoulders with the giants in this field, and it's amazing. So until next week, you all stay spooked.